Welcome to Investors Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Faye D'Souza. We're here to help you with your money. So if you have a question that has to do with investing your money or saving it or spending it, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. You'll also find a copy of the show on our Facebook page, and you can reach me personally on Twitter. On the show this week, we'll tell you if you should be investing in ULIPs or mutual funds. It's an old question, but we'll answer it one more time. In our product review, we look at the ICICI Prudential Balanced Advantage Fund. And should you be buying a term cover? We'll find out later on the show. All right, let me bring in Kumar, the CEO of Value Research. Thank you so much for coming in. We have a very interesting question. I'd like to start the show with this one. Akshay Jaiswal has written in, he has an SIP of 2,000 rupees that he's putting into the HDFC direct fund in the dividend plan. And he's asked us a very interesting question. He wants to know how much time it will take to see results from this mutual fund, he says, and how long should he hold it for? 3 years, 4 years, more than that? Is it a good long-term fund to rely on? So I'm going to assume that Akshay is a young person because it just sounds, given from the question that he's asked, it sounds like he is a young person. He seems fairly impatient for the returns on this fund. Also, the thing that worries me is that he's in the dividend option. So a lot of his results might be, sort of being washed away by the dividend option itself. What response would you like to give him? First of all, HDFC Equity Fund is a good fund to have chosen. He started an SIP, but dividend option, long term?
Most investors might think that they are investing 2,000 rupees a month, 24,000 rupees a year, and got some dividend in between. And if you see that your 24,000 rupees remained constant, you will see that you are not getting result, or 24,000 becoming 28,000 rupees. You may not get a sense, you may not be able to measure your return objectively. And on the other hand, it is your reference for return is very straightforward. The return that you get in a bank deposit, the return that you get in a PPF, they're all measurable, predictable, and here there is uncertainty. So it's very important. You can't really evaluate something till you can't measure it. So it's important for you to really understand that how much return is your investment getting. Not to say that HDFC equity has been a disappointing investment over the last 1.5 year, 2 years. And the disappointing performance in the last 1.5, 2 years has also dampened its performance over the last 5 years. If investment is not doing very well for last 2 years and it did very well or reasonably well in the previous 3 years, the overall return will actually go down. So this is something which one should understand, and I think I'm still hopeful that at some point HDFC equity will prove to be right with its bet, and it has stuck to it. But many investors are growingly becoming impatient with this, and some investors might be well off because many investors I know that they have a variety of HDFC equity funds, so lowering your exposure there might be useful. But I would say that take the dividend into account before you measure your return, and if you have less time, if you just have 3 to 5 years, you might be in for disappointment.
Right, you might be in for disappointment. Remember, Dhirendra is saying if you want long-term returns, which is what I think you're suggesting in your email, then you have to opt for a growth option, not the dividend option. That's not the way to go. HDFC Equity is a good fund. It's had a rough 1.5 years. So if you want to hold on for the long term, it might make sense. Write back to us if you have any more questions. But the key takeaway here for all long-term investors is the growth option being a better option for you, and of course giving your equity funds more than 3 or 5 years to actually give you returns. Dhirendra, let's move on to our portfolio question. It comes in from 35-year-old Chandra Kumar. He says his wife, his mother and his 3-year-old son depend on him, and he wants to invest so he can buy a home in the next 5 years. He sent us his financial details. He has 83,000 rupees coming in as monthly income, and he spends 40,000 rupees out of that. The remaining gets saved. He has a very, very interesting insurance portfolio. So he's got a medical cover from his employer. He's got a term cover for 1 crore rupees. He also has a disability benefit and a cancer care, which is basically a critical illness policy that he's bought for 20 lakh rupees because of a medical history of cancer in his family. The thing that worries me is an LIC policy for which he's paying 36,000 rupees a month, a year. And I'm not really sure why he needs that given that he has everything else. He also has the ICICI Prudential Smart Life ULIP, for which he's paying 15,000 rupees a month for his son's college education when his son turns 8. When his son turns 18, his son is only 3 at this point. he wants to know what he should invest in going forward. But I first want to understand, Dhirendra, the LIC policy and the IPRU ULIP. Should he continue those investments?
A good part of his portfolio is very nicely in place, and it is not unusual for any investor to start with insurance and start with life insurance policy because they're very accessible. And somebody reaches out to you to start with, even though it may not be the most appropriate thing for you to start. And he has been able to organize his financial affairs very well. I would say that just finding a nice exit route from these two insurance policy and diverting all this money to his entitlement of 8TC, he should avail that to the hilt. And so first stop should be ELSS, making long-term investment there, and also given his given complete dependence of his family and 3 members in his family entirely on him, he should also reconsider review his insurance, his term cover that he has. 1 crore looks nice round number, but it may not be enough, because you have to simply look at it from a standpoint of the return that 1 crore rupee will generate. Will it be enough to support your family in an inflation adjusted way? That is something which might not be enough, though it might look like a good large number now.
All right, Dhirendra, he tells us that he also made those investments largely for the tax benefits, and he now wants to invest in mutual funds. He wants you to recommend good mutual funds that he can invest in right now. So if we look at it, if you look at his entire portfolio, he obviously has the emergency fund, he has health insurance, he has life insurance, all of that is taken care of. If he moves the money out of the ULIPs into mutual funds, what would be a good choice for him?
One is that 15,000 rupees going a month in the ULIP policy of ICICI Prudential, that will be 1.8 lakh, and 36 lakh going into LIC. If he's able to discontinue this, it will be little over 2 lakh rupees. And that money, of that 1.5 lakh rupee must go into an ELSS for him to avail the tax benefit to the hilt. And that should be one of our aggressive tax savers. That should be good enough. And after that, he should consider funds from our aggressive growth plan, because the kind of investment time frame he has, he should be able to maximize his return and turn little conservative maybe after 10 years, because all other variables are so nicely in place in his case that he can well, and he should be regular with his investment. He should not make any lump sum investment. All those rules apply.
So what I'm going to do is, first on your screen are our aggressive tax savers for the year. Pick one out of these tax saving funds and use them for your tax saving needs, so that you're not hurt by the fact that you discontinue the ULIP and that LIC policy. After that, our aggressive portfolios on your screen. Dhirendra recommends, given the time that you have and the kind of targets you have, this is a good way to go. If you have any more questions, you can get back in touch with us. Dhirendra, it's time for a very quick break. We'll come back and talk about the ICICI Prudential Balanced Advantage Fund. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to watching Investors Guide on ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. It's time to look at our product review. In this week, we're looking at the ICICI Prudential Balanced Advantage Fund. Dhirendra, the fund is currently 4 stars on value research. It's a heavy fund. It's over 10,000 crore rupees in assets under management. Does that in any way affect its ability or its maneuverability in the market?
No, not really, because the kind of mandate it has. And also this 10,000 crore has been achieved only recently. So in a limited way, in a certain kind of market, this fund might have some disadvantage, but not as of now, because the primary driver, performance driver of this fund is its dynamic asset allocation policy, and that has withstood the test of time. And I like this strategy particularly from a standpoint of a conservative investor for whom a balanced fund is meant. Because investor who is aware of risk of equity or understands the volatility of equity can well withstand a decline of 10, 15, 20%. But a balanced fund investor is typically a guy who wants the growth of equity, but can't withstand the big declines. And on that front, this particular fund stacks up very nicely. It's an impressive fund. It's a good conservative fund. And this is the kind of fund which should be used by an investor getting started.
In fact, Dhirendra, if you look at the performance over the last 1 year, it's been a tough 1 year, especially for those funds that focus on large caps. And we compare it to the peers. HDFC Balanced has fallen nearly 6% in 1 year. The Tata Retirement Savings Moderate Plan has fallen about 4.5%. This fund is down only about 0.4%. So this is actually an example of its dynamic, asset management, where it's managed to limit the loss to its investors. Given that, it's been a tough 1 year, would you say really the most conservative investors should consider this fund?
No, I would say that, don't get impressed by these numbers. There can be occasion when the fund can actually be disappointing for investors, because by saying that it is the most conservative, which means it will, investors will never be disappointed. That may not be true. Because if you look at last 1 year return, the trailing 1 year return, it is clearly negative. So this fund actually doesn't crumble, which is very important for any long-term equity investor. It is meant for investors seeking growth, and it is meant for investors who can't see big ups and downs in the values of a fund on a daily basis. Another thing, which is the automatic rebalancing and 35% on some occasion higher fixed income allocation. Despite that, the fund being treated as an equity fund, so on a tax front, it is very efficient. Any investor holding it for 1 year, all gains will be tax-free. The other point is that it will be relatively much more stable, and that is what to expect. Not to have negative return? No, this is not one such fund.
All right, so remember, this is a good fund to invest in, but your expectations as an investor needs to be fairly clear before you take it on. Dhirendra, finally, give it your star rating for Investors Guide for the viewers who are watching. Where would you place this fund?
Though on a risk-adjusted scale, it has slipped to 4-star. I would still call it a 5-star, simply because for any investor getting started and wanting to invest in equity, this is the kind of fund which people should start with.
All right, 5 stars there for the ICICI Prudential Balanced Advantage Fund. Remember, it's not easy to get 5 stars on this show, so it's quite an accomplishment for this fund. If you have questions about the review you just heard, feel free to write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of our screen. Let's take a look at your hold or sell question. A 30-year-old has written in, Dhirendra. Sachin, he says he wants to buy a house in the next 5 years, and he's begun investing 1 lakh per month in mutual funds. He sent us a list of the funds he's investing in. Now, a couple of things we need to remember. 5 years is not a very long-term horizon. And he might be able to move it around a little bit, but I don't know how much he'll be able to compromise on the timing of his home buying goal. The first on his list is a Kotak Select Focus Fund. Dhirendra, continue that investment?
Yes, this fund has actually seen a turnaround despite no significant turnaround in the market. So this fund is looking very impressive, promising, and shows and in the last 1.5 years must continue.
Must continue. Next on his list is the SBI Blue Chip Fund. Continue that investment as well?
Likewise, SBI Blue Chip has stacked in recent, months, year. I would say that it has shrugged its early, misdoing, so to say, and now it looks as a very impressive large cap fund. So this also must continue.
Well, he also has the UTI Equity Fund, Dhirendra. Continue that one as well?
This has been an impressive fund, but the fund manager has, put in his notice that he'll be leaving, or might be he would have left. And the fund manager was quite crucial to this fund, because this is the erstwhile master gain, which virtually got turned around in the last 7-8 years, ever since he assumed it, and he managed it all through. And I don't think somebody should panic. I don't think the fund's portfolio is going to change radically, but fund manager was a very crucial part of this whole turnaround or emergence of this fund, and so people should be watchful, and one should be watchful over the next 5-6 months, the change of fund managers, the changes brought about in the portfolio, and then take a call. But so nothing alarming right now, but yes, there is a big change, and one should be alert.
Well, the next 3 funds on his list are all from the same fund house, the ICICI Prudential Top 100, IPRU Focus Blue Chip Equity, and IPRU Value Discovery, Dhirendra. I know that, Value Discovery and Blue Chip Equity are excellent funds to hold on his portfolio. Does he also need the Top 100 fund while he has the other 2?
He is well on course that he has a 5-year time frame, and he should be either in flexible funds or large cap funds. not having a mid-cap fund is a good idea, because he could be just caught on the wrong foot. Investing right now while these values look good and 5-year time frame is not good enough. He just might not be through with the full cycle of the market in that segment. So yes, I would say that he can do without any of the two of the three ICICI Pru funds, and I think Value Discovery might prove to be the most promising of the three if I have to choose one of the three.
All right, so Value Discovery is the most promising of the three, so your shortlist is on your screen right now. If you'd like us to take a look at your portfolio, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Dhirendra, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time you spend on this show every week. Coming up after the break, we'll talk about choosing a term cover. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Investors Guide in ET. Now, thank you for staying with us to answer your insurance questions. Gajendra Kothari joins us. Gajendra, thank you so much for joining us. Our first question comes in from Kumar, who writes in from Chennai. He says he has a traditional LIC policy with a yearly premium of 60,000 rupees and a sum assured of 12.5 lakhs. Now, that alone is enough ammunition for me, Kumar, to tell you to get rid of that policy. He says he's completed paying 5 premiums and he now wants to know if he should surrender his policy. He's planning to get a term cover of 1 crore rupees. What is the best term plan for him? Additionally, he wants a 5 lakh rupee health cover. Gajendra, first of all, obviously he needs to get out of this LIC policy. 60,000 rupees going in, sum assured of only 12 lakh rupees. And I'm sure the returns are not great either. If he does exit this policy, what term insurance plan would you recommend for him?
Again, this is one of the most common mistakes which most investors do. They buy into insurance thinking it's an investment, and then later years they realize that it's neither adequate insurance nor adequate investments. So first thing first, I would request you to buy a term insurance cover. Just to give a perspective for your age, for a 1 crore cover in online term insurances, you'll be paying somewhere close to around 7 to 15,000. Minimum is 7,000 and maximum is around 15,000-16,000 as a premium. And almost all insurance companies offer online term plans. So first, secure yourself for an ideal term insurance cover. Now, what is the ideal term insurance cover? Just a thumb rule says, based on your income, you can go for anywhere from 10 to 20 times your annual income as the insurance cover. So that would cover you against any kind of eventuality, and more so when you're getting married next year. This can be good exercise now. The second thing is that with regard to what to do with the current policy, since you've paid premium for 5 years, there are 3 options. A, you can continue with this. Now the answer is that the returns from these policies in the long term normally are in the range of 6 to 8%, not more than that. The second option is to make the policy paid up, in which case you don't pay any further premiums. Your sum assured is also reduced proportionately. After 30 years, whatever premium you have paid, come back to you with whatever the bonuses you have accrued. So not much gain. The third and the better option which we would recommend is to surrender the policy, in which case you may receive less than what you have paid the premium today. You may have to take a haircut, and whatever the amount which you will be receiving, if you invest this amount into a mutual fund for the same time period, I mean that would grow into a big corpus after 25 years, just assuming even at 12%. And the differential premium which you'll be investing in mutual funds, because as I said, it's just 7 to 10,000, you'll be saving around 50,000 per annum. If that amount you invest plus this amount, I think over a 30-year period you will have around close to 1.25 crores as the corpus, in a normal diversified mutual fund.
Next question comes in from Vishal, who writes in. He tells us he wants to know what the best online term insurance plan in the market is right now. He has an income of 6.5 lakh rupees per year. He says he also wants to undergo medical tests before opting for a plan. That's a great idea, to get a free medical test done while you're buying your insurance policy. What would you recommend for him, Gajendra?
Based on your income of around 6.5 lakhs, I'm sure you can easily get 1 crore cover, and this will be reasonable cover to start with. And based on your age, your premium will be also very low, in the range of 8 to 10,000 rupees per annum. So the only thing is that there's no such thing called best term insurance cover, because each insurance company has their own advantages and disadvantages. They have their own features of the plan. Some companies give for 30 years, some company give for 35, some company gives up to 75. And then there are again another companies which gives with riders. You have something called accidental death benefit rider, you have something called critical illness rider. So there are many riders which are attached to the policy. So basically you need to sit with your advisor and compare many of these plans. You can compare between 7 to 8, compare the features and the cost wise, and then you can take a call, that which would suit you best. Because as I said, there's no one cover which is best for each investor. It can be a different company which can offer the best cover.
Last question comes in from Vinay K. He wants to understand if he should be investing in term insurance and would it be a waste of money when he reaches the age of 30. Vinay, first of all, a term insurance is not an investment, so you wouldn't be investing in it, you'd just be buying it. It's like insuring your car or your bike. Now, if nothing happens to your car, you're not going to ask the insurance company to give you your money back. You bought a service in terms of insurance, and that's what it costs. Now, with a term insurance policy, that's how it works. So when you reach 30 years of age, nobody's going to pay you to stay alive. We're just glad that you'll be healthy, but your insurance company, if you bought a term insurance plan, will not give you any money back. Also, Gajendra, he wants to know what the maximum term is for a term insurance policy. Would you like to help him out?
The only reason you should have an insurance cover today, if there are people dependent on you, then to safeguard their future income, you should have an insurance cover. Of course, if nobody is dependent on you, then you don't require insurance cover at this stage. And term insurance is the best form of insurance, though many people think that every year you are forfeiting premium, you will not be getting this back. But look, the meaning of insurance itself is buying protection towards any eventuality. And you're buying a protection cover, you're supposed to pay some kind of a premium for that facility. And don't expect to get back the premium if nothing were to happen to you, which is anyway a good situation. So a term insurance is the cheapest form of insurance because for the kind of cover you get, you pay pretty low premium, which will cover you for your life. And you until you retire, you work, and once you retire, you don't require any insurance cover for that matter. So term insurance would serve the best purpose.
All right, we've run out of time on this show, but a quick reminder, as always, we're inviting investors like you to come into our studio on the 29th of February on Budget Day between 7 and 8 p.m. in Mumbai. The idea is you come in here, you're part of the show live, you can ask your questions to our experts live on the show. So it's a great opportunity. It's a 1-hour show between 7 and 8 o'clock on Budget Day that we've been doing now for 8 straight years. And we'd love to have you in the studio with us. If you'd like to join us on Budget Day, there's an email ID at the bottom of your screen. Get in touch with us, send us an email, and my team will get in touch with you. Thanks for watching Investors Guide this week. Stay with ET Now.